we're a little bit too heavy on the male, pale and stale, I have to say, on stage. We're going to work on that next year. It's definitely part of my to-do list. But we're all here based on the merit of what you guys have to say. I've been following very closely the things you're working on. Let's just have a quick fire round to better understand what's going on today and what we're going to be talking about. So, Jose, can technology identify behavioral patterns of residents and tourists and can be used to inform strategies for destinations to better serve their needs?
Yeah, we can detect flaws and evaluate the emotional experience using artificial intelligence.
Fantastic. Danielle, can technology give us the market access for more sustainable accommodations?
Yeah, absolutely. Technology can help travelers find, identify, choose more sustainable accommodations. I would also say technology can help us with market capacity, but I'll talk about that later.
Brilliant.
Cliffhanger.
Great to hear that. Olivier, can technology distribute at scale data on carbon footprint for the travel suppliers?
Short answer, yes. Longer answer, last year Amadeus processed something like 470 million of transactions. Wow. So it's 470 million of opportunities to push for more sustainable travel.
Okay, we may be the first panel that has two Oliviers on the same panel. So can I ask our second Olivier, Ponti, can technology help destinations identify more sustainable target markets?
Yes, I think technology can help destinations understand which visitor profiles they can bring to their location at the time when they need them the most.
Brilliant. Our final fire round question for Quim. Can technology help our destinations identify markets to help us reduce seasonality and also redistribute geographically those tourists?
Definitely. Seasonality, over-tourism are topics that are being mentioned by many people, and we need data to really measure and understand these trends and technology to drive better impact of tourism. So, yeah.
Does it sound too good to be true? Let's just find out and ask a few more questions to our panelists. So we start with Jose. It's the first time you're at this panel, but you are not new to ITV. In fact, your technology is being used at ITV until now. Can you tell us what you're working on?
We are monitoring to a stand of ITV, and we analyze the behavioral of the visitors of the stands, and we propose, based in this data, we propose to the destiny, we propose strategies to improve the performance of the stand for the next fire. And we propose how to performance the campaigns because we analyze the reaction of the people at the material, promotional material in the stand.
Okay, so essentially you've got cameras that when we go around the entire ITV are watching us and are analyzing our facial expressions, how much time we spend interacting with people, what we are looking at, and they're following us everywhere. Is this legal?
It's legal. The priority when we developed this platform were the privacy and the anonymity. And it's two important cases in the development of the platform. It's easy if you think that you are watching a movie on the TV and you are taking notes in your notebook. If your notes are good and you give me the notes, I can read the notes and I know the plot of the movie only without alphabetical characters. Okay. It's the same.
Okay, good. We'll come back to this a little bit later on because I'm really intrigued, and also it's something that we haven't talked about before. Danielle, of course, you're not new to sustainability or to this platform. I think we had a really lovely conversation last time you were here. What has changed in the last year?
Yeah, so last time we were here, we were just about to change something with our program, and I remember being on stage being like, oh, I want to talk about it, so I get to talk about it now. Since last year, we shifted our program for accommodations and sustainability and how we label them to feature only third-party certified accommodations, third-party certified sustainability accommodations, in line with where regulation is going and making sure to meet the traveler demand for more veracity of information, verifiable information, all of that. And so with that also comes a challenge, which is there are far fewer accommodations with certifications, and so then we also released a product in November to support accommodations to get third-party sustainability certified, to help them identify where they are in that journey, what comes next, what tools they might need, how to actually get some funding for that, all with the idea of trying to build that supply. We're learning from it, but really exciting because it's years in the making, and I think really the future of where we need to go with this type of labeling. Also, travelers can make those choices in the end.
I started looking at certification in 2001, and for years, I know I'm giving away my age now, but for years, very little was happening. And in the last year, boy, oh boy, how much change. I mean, legislation, for example, is changing the goalposts constantly, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so regulation has moved in this space very quickly. So we have two EU directives coming up, the Empowering Consumers for the Green Transition, which will come into effect next year, the Green Claims Directive. And what that does is that creates some parameters around how we communicate sustainability to consumers in every sector, not just travel. And constraints can lead to some challenges, but they also lead to some interesting space for innovation. And I think it's pushing that discussion forward, because now here we are, and we're in a place where there are a ton of options for how you considered labeling sustainability features, communicating all of that. Now we have a bit of a rule book that we need to look at, and that means that we can converge towards third-party certifications and start to solve some of the challenges that we've been seeing since 2001 or 1990 or whatever it was when some of these were formed. And that's going to be a really interesting process in the coming couple of years, and has been for the last couple as well. We have a real journey when it comes to certifications so that we can actually power those more sustainable choices and communicate in a compliant manner, which is really top of mind.
But you've done the numbers more than I have, right? But 23 million suppliers, essentially, 23 million listings, 20,000 certified properties. However much we're going to scale this, how long will it take?
Well, so apples to apples, 23 million listings is rooms and every single thing that we have on the platform, whereas properties is a different figure. So not one for one, but the point stands. The number of certified accommodations today is just not enough. It doesn't meet the demand of the traveler. It makes the traveler feel that they have to choose between sustainability and all of the other parameters they have, price, whether they're a family, the destination, these things. So we have to scale that supply. But just because a property isn't certified doesn't mean that they haven't taken any action on sustainability. We shouldn't assume that not certified means zero. Yeah. So there's quite some work we need to do, which is again why we released that tool, all with the idea of we've got to start pulling accommodations up that ladder. And for accommodations that are SMEs particularly, this is going to be a real struggle. So there's a lot of work to be done on making that easier and getting that number up. But I'll be the first to say that 20,000 properties with a sustainability certification on our platform is just not sufficient yet. That's a huge challenge.
And that number has not changed for many, many years, but it has increased significantly in the last 2 years. So we'll come back to that later on. So there are kind of opportunities there. Olivier, it's the first time I'm interviewing you on stage, which is great. It's always really nice to also meet somebody new on stage. And the work, of course, that Amadeus has done maybe sometimes goes a little bit under the radar because you're more on the B2C, B2B than the B2B front, right? So the consumer doesn't necessarily know. You have made massive, massive changes in the last couple of years. What was the business case? What have you done first? And what was the business case you had to put forward to people higher up in the food chain to say, let's invest time and effort in sustainability?
I like the business case example that you're taking because it's more the business rationale than the business case.
Okay.
Because very often when we talk about sustainability business case, I mean in terms of, okay, can I generate revenues out of that, is not the most obvious.
Sure.
But obviously, I mean, as a company, as a corporation, we have a mission and sustainability is embedded into it. So when we look at what can we do, and there is, I always like to take some specific figures because I think they are telling a bit what we can do. Amadeus Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions are 15,000 tons. The airline industry as a whole is 900 million tons. So as Amadeus, we can do as much as we can to take care of our own emissions, and actually we do, and we do it well. But if we can influence even by a little fraction, the 900 million tons, then we will have a bigger impact. So this is exactly what we are doing by providing IT solutions for airports, for airlines, that generate efficiencies, and very often those efficiencies lead to possibility to reduce carbon emission. Actually, we released end of December with Accenture a specific report exactly to do that, to measure the impact of those two solutions, one which is an airport solution called Airport Sequence Manager, and which is optimizing the time an aircraft is spending between the departure gate and the runway. And when you optimize that time, so you reduce it, it's less time on the taxiway, less emissions. And then we have another solution, which is called DCS weight and balance. And it's providing the optimal fuel that an aircraft can or must take on board for a safe flight. I mean, with those solutions, we took real use cases, test cases, before and after implementation, and looking at those two solutions, the outcome is, on a yearly basis, is, with those two, is 50,000 tons of CO2 avoidance. If you extrapolate those figures to the entire industry, and this is a big if, I mean, we agree, but we move to 5.7 million tons. And 5.7 million tons, it's 0.6% of those 900 million tons. So the message here, we have existing solutions that do have an impact today and that can be used. So it's not something for tomorrow, it's something that is implemented today.
And it improves the business case for the airlines as well, right? Nobody wants to spend time taxing. No consumer enjoys sitting there waiting for it.
And very valid point. I mean, let's say the recipe for success is that one, is when you have economic benefits with the sustainability benefits. Because obviously for an airline, their largest cost is fuel, 30%. So, I mean, every time you can optimize the fuel, I mean, it's going to be a real win-win. But we have also looked at the other part, what can we do to provide more information to the travelers? And here, the business case is not as strong.
So we need to look at that a little bit more. Yeah. So, what does success look like? When will you say, we have achieved a milestone that we say, we're really proud of having done that? You must have a goal path. You say, these are the things we're going to measure, and when we achieve these, we'll just shout it out to the world saying, guys, look what we've done.
So, I mean, I think I was loud enough for the success on some of those IT solutions, but let me maybe take another example, which is more for the traveler. So providing CO2 information for the traveler. And this is, I mean, an interesting topic, whereby we've made the commitment to say, okay, we need to provide that information to travelers the same way we provide information about flight schedules, prices, equipment type. And we make it part of our baseline. So it's not information that we sell on top. I mean, it's, let's say, I mean, we do not charge extra. And what we've been doing here is to provide or enable that information into our flagship product. So, I mean, we have our travel agency booking solution, which is called Masterpricer. It's 350,000 point of sale worldwide, and we've enabled CO2 information into those. So, I mean, success or progress is already when you start enabling that information into the solutions. We have another one which is called Masterpricer, and it's the search solution which is actually used by 8 out of 10 of the largest online travel agency in the world. So, I mean, it's a solid product, and we are also enabling CO2 information into Masterpricer. Then the next stage of measurement is going to be adoption. So now it's there, it's in the feed, the APIs, or however you call them. Now the customers need to say, okay, this is available from Amadeus. I want to implement it into my website, into my front office, and so on. So that's the second part of the measurement. And there is a third one, but I don't want to speak too much there.
Brilliant. So obviously, the idea that all these platforms will use the same data and there will be data consistency is key. There's nothing more frustrating for customers to have confusing or contradictory data. Beyond that, what will happen next? What do we know about under which circumstances customers change their choice of flight based on some of this carbon data? Surely you'll have done some testing before releasing, like there's a lot of effort, right? You want to know that providing this information out to the world will make some sort of difference.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I mean, if we come back to what I just mentioned, I mean, we made the commitment to provide that information to the wider traveler audience. So I would say providing that information, awareness is the first element of impact. Because, I mean, we make the assumption that people want to know and understand. So, I mean, this is the first step. When it comes to really measuring the impact, what we've been doing is more user testing on how we are displaying that information into our B2B environment, so for travel agencies. And here, we rely on what Travelist, so maybe you don't know what Travelist is, but this is the source of the CO2 information that we are using in Amadeus. And Travelist is an NGO with the purpose to make sustainable information for travel available, providing frameworks and proven data points. So we are using that source of information from Travelist. And so what we've done is we used the Travelist recommendation, their best practices, to say, okay, this is how we are going to present that information into our solutions. But again, we are only B2B. The real impact is going to be in the B2C interfaces of all our customers. And I should say all our customers is the global travel industry. Many of the global travel industry are Amadeus customers. So, I mean, and they will be the one to be able to really measure the impact. I think, I mean, there is still some way to go.
Indeed. Olivier, can I ask you a question about the purpose of your organization? In your website, you say the purpose is to help travel businesses leverage the power of data. What does that mean in practice?
At ForwardKeys, we're a travel analytics company, and our purpose is to predict travelers' impact.
Okay.
So in order to do this, we collect information mainly coming from the air travel sector to understand who will be flying where and when. And then we prepare this information, we slice and dice it so that it matches the needs of different travel businesses across the whole travel ecosystem. Now, as the topic here is sustainability, let's focus on some recent innovations that we have brought to the market for this specific segment, destinations. Now, if it's about traveling, I mean, predicting the future of travel, what you need are good forecasts. And we've invested enormous resources to get the best forecast possible so that our clients can look into the future and with a very high level of granularity and accuracy understand who will be flying where and when. Why is this important? Because it enables destinations to anticipate those flows, get ready, anticipate the moments where they think they may have some issues of unbalanced tourism, and also identify the periods that are going to be weak and work on those periods. That's the second innovation, the new solutions we've brought to the market to help destinations identify the profiles of visitors that are the most likely to visit them during the low season. We believe that destinations with a very high level of seasonality are not using their infrastructures in the best possible way. They have often too many people at the same place at the same time during the high season and very few people during the low season. How can we solve this? We believe technology can do this. We've developed new solutions based on AI that use all the data available worldwide to understand where you should focus on for the low season, what market. You can also decide how far away you want to go with your marketing campaigns. If you want to get only to nearby markets, if you want to aim at some long-haul markets as well, you choose, right? Third, innovation. And here for us, this was a bit of a revolution because we've always been focused on air travel, and all of a sudden we decided that it was absolutely necessary to understand what people were doing at destination level. So from the moment they had arrived at the airports, what were they doing until the moment they would depart from that airport. And for this, we started using geolocated data that helped us understand if dispersal strategies were working or not, for example, where and when there were some issues related to unbalanced tourism, who was generating those issues so that DMOs could have a much more targeted approach and try and solve those issues.
Brilliant. Quim, let me come to you now, and then we'll obviously come back to all the panelists for a second round of questions shortly. But Mastercard is a huge player, right? With great power comes great responsibility. I think before Spider-Man said that, there was some Greek philosopher that already said it before. You guys have so much data on consumer behavior patterns. How can destinations leverage this sort of information to be able to take better informed decisions?
Well, I think that Oliver has introduced some of the ways. But just to go deeper, just for your info, we at Mastercard managed last year 150 billion of transactions around the world, always in an aggregated way and anonymized. And these allow us and destinations and private sector companies better understand the behavior of the traveler before, during, and after the travel. When I say before, I mean in their own countries, in their daily life, how they behave. And I think this is super important because now it seems that talking about the recovery in the pandemic, it's not allowed because it seems from the past, but we have to be reminded, globally speaking, today, or maybe last week, we reached the total number of pandemic level. And this means that now we are entering in a new scenario. Until 3 months ago, many destinations want to attract more people, more travelers, more travelers. But now, we have other objectives. Destinations have other objectives.
Do you think so? Do you think their objectives have changed?
Yeah. Yes, because the mature markets, I mean, they don't have other choice. They have to break seasonality. They have to create new tourism attractions, secondary spots, and they are working on that. And the reality is that the less mature markets, at the end, in the country, the tourist destinations are 2 or 3, a few destinations. And these 2, 3 destinations also face challenge of over-tourism, maybe. So, although as a country they want to grow, the current tourism spots sometimes are overcrowded. So now it's not a matter of bringing more people. It's a matter of attracting, and please let me say carefully this word, the desired traveler, okay? So that traveler that is aligned with the values of the destination, with the sustainable values, with the strategy of the destination, on those travelers that leave a better impact in the destination. When I say better, I say in terms of footprint, sources consumption, but also economic impact and social impact. And
so how does your technology allow you to do that? What kind of information do you provide to a destination that will give them the tools to identify those markets that will not only spend more, but more of the money will stay locally or will spend it, you know, in places that at the moment are less crowded?
Well, first of all, our data and third-party data, because we used to partner in many of the partners that we have here today, but combining our capabilities, we are able to understand who is traveling where, in which part of the season, and how are they behaving in the destination, how much they spend, which type of consumption are they doing in the destination. And these allow our partners, tourist destinations at national level and also at local level, to drive better strategies, to design new products in the destination or drive better campaigns to the specific markets. And we are leveraging our data, third-party data, as Oliver mentioned, but also our marketing capabilities and our digital solutions to improve the full life cycle of the travel.
I guess my question to both you and Olivier is, those are the tools and that's the purpose, right? But do you think the destinations are using them in that way, or are they're using them to increase the volume of tourism off-season and in other locations, but not as a means of then being able to reduce the high season? Essentially, the low season is becoming more like the high season, as opposed to saying we are genuinely able to distribute that volume throughout. I'm not blaming the tools, I'm blaming the user of the tool.
I don't think the users should be blamed. I think destinations have a long history of trying to bring more people to their premises. They are extremely performant marketing machines.
Yeah.
In some destinations, the DMOs have understood that they should change the rules of the game, that it was not about attracting as many people as possible, but really attracting the people that would make the destination benefit from those travel flows. And they've realized that technology could help them there. But they need to be helped in order to leverage the power of the data to the maximum. And I think this is where there's still a lot of work to be done. Just one example with the city where we're based, Valencia. We worked very closely with the local DMO, and we looked at what was happening during the high season. Yeah. We could see some parts of the city where all the bars are located being very popular, too popular maybe, with some visitor profiles and generating some negative externalities. So we helped them identify who those problematic travelers were so that they could communicate much better in the right language to those visitor profiles. But at the same time, we also looked at places outside of the city center that could benefit from more visitor flows so that more businesses could reap the benefit of the overall attractiveness of the destination. And we could identify those places with the highest potential and the visitors that were the most likely to go there. So there's one place, for example, it's called the Albufera. It's beautiful, near the sea with a big lake. You can enjoy a paella there. Mm-hmm. But that's something that many people already do. And many travelers go with their bicycle there. So we said, look, Albufera, great potential, but stop marketing the paella thing. Why not market dinner or sunset at the Albufera? I even went as far as a Frenchman to suggest paella in the evening in the Albufera. That's a no-go. All right, you don't do that in Valencia. But watching the sunset, yes. So actually we started seeing all across the city beautiful pictures of the sunset in the Albufera, telling people, locals and travelers alike, hey, why don't you go there?
So I love that example. I think there'll be a bunch of locals that will say, I am fed up enough with tourists near the center. I don't want to find them everywhere. And that brings me back to some of the work that you're doing, Jose. So if I understand right, in the city of Malaga, your cameras in the streets essentially capture data of visitors and residents, and your cameras are clever enough to know from their behavior who is a resident and who is a visitor, and you can capture information about their facial expressions and how they interact with one another. I mean, wow. How does this data help you? And how can this data be used to improve those relationships between residents and tourists?
No, we said we are the Google Analytics of the real world. We use artificial intelligence to transform the photograms, the images, into alphanumeric data. Okay. Our artificial intelligence is not like ChatGPT or Gemini. It's not generative. We join two families of artificial intelligence. We use artificial vision and we use cognitive artificial intelligence. And the joint of these two kinds of artificial intelligence can analyze each photogram, extract the data, and we lose the image. And what kind of data we can extract? We can count people, we can analyze the flow of the people. We can analyze the nonverbal language, so we can obtain what the emotional expressions of the people, and we know with this the experience of the people in the area. And we can measure the behavioral conduct. So we can measure the behavioral of the people in a stand, in a fair, or in a city, or in any part of the world. We give you a dashboard with the KPIs that you need to make data-driven decisions. Okay, so you can't access to the tool. You access to your dashboard with your KPIs, and we help you to use these KPIs to implement actions to correct the bad data and power or improve the good data.
Okay, so in the example, for example, following from Olivier, if a city then said, we want to promote a new area where maybe there have been fewer tourists until now, your technology would allow them to say to that city council, this is the type of tourism, and this is the volume of tourism, and this is the way in which you could do it, where the interaction between residents and tourists is still a positive one, and the outcome is positive for both groups, or which one of the two groups basically is having first a negative outcome from that additionality of visitors. Right?
And we can detect in which points of the city two flows crash and have problems, and the city council can implement activities to move the tourists to another close zones and not crash with the life of the city.
Okay, we've got 5 minutes only left, so I just want to go back to all these tools are great, but these tools fail when the users fail, right? Like, we can give them advice to the businesses to become certified. We can give data to customers to identify, where the most sustainable flights are. But human beings are not rational, right? We have ways of, basically misbehaving, most of us. We all do it, right? So, Danielle, going back to you, you providing all this extra help to businesses to learn how to become certified, how to get data out of it. How do you support your partners at the moment? And how do you account for that, some of that irrationality that we all have?
Irrationality is one way of framing it. I think what we have to do is really identify what the core barriers are and what sits behind them. So we do, of course, a ton of research to hear from our accommodation partners why they're struggling to get certified. Is it a funding issue? Is it an education issue? Is it just a lack of business case and clear business rationale? But that's only based on what they tell us. Same for travelers. They tell us what the barriers are, but behavior might show us that the true barriers are something different than what they're saying. So we have to supplement that research with the actual behavioral data that we're seeing, and from there start to refine the approaches that we're taking. On the traveler side, we maybe should display in a way that isn't what they're telling us that they want, but actually is giving them the clarity or information that they're looking for. And on the accommodation side, maybe they tell us that funding is really a core issue, but perhaps it's a particular type of funding, and we need to test, and we do that through A/B testing, we do that through a variety of ways, really what's going to alleviate those barriers. And then from there, we need to iterate those products, those features, et cetera, and make sure that they're actually driving the end impact that we want. Because this is just a step, right? Making more sustainable choices for the traveler, getting the accommodation partner certified. These are all interim steps on the way to a more sustainable travel industry. We need to keep checking that we are still in that end goal, but it's a million problems broken down that we need to just be feeding each other and making sure that we're getting in the right solution.
Olivier, I'll come to you now. I was asking Danielle about, the suppliers and how do we help them. I guess with you, I'll ask you on the consumers. You're going to provide all this data on carbon to, through B2C, B2B, and then finally to the final consumer. What is your evaluation strategy? How will you evaluate that this tool was worth implementing or introducing?
So maybe I was not too clear before.
Yeah.
I mean, the evaluation strategy is, okay, first we measure enablement, and here, I mean, we've gone a very long way by bringing CO2 information into those flagship products. So, I mean, I'm not saying this is 100% done, but I mean, this is close to completion. Second stage is going to be adoption. So, I mean, talking with customers, saying, okay, the information is there, you can use it in your own displays to inform your customer. Yeah. And then the last one is impact. I was saying, okay, modestly right now, what we are saying is providing awareness is already maybe not success, but progress. And actually, I mean, all of us, and as part of the coalition, what we would like to measure is, does this virtuous circle exist? And what is this virtuous circle? It's, I provide CO2 information that travelers can see. Travelers start selecting flights, not just on convenience or price, but also on CO2. Okay. Then airlines start seeing that it becomes a competitive advantage to have lower CO2 emission, and then they do whatever they can to remain competitive. And then you get to have those CO2 avoidance at an industry level. And this is something that we need to do as part of the coalition of Travelist. I mentioned it quickly earlier, but in Travelist, you have the likes of Expedia, Booking.com, Trip.com, Google, and many other technology players. So, I mean, there is a critical mass of actors, people using that CO2 data, and with the help of science professors, I mean, we will be able to measure. But, I mean, this is only the beginning.
But we've done some pilots, right? Otherwise, we could have built a whole thing, not knowing if consumers will genuinely make different decisions.
No, but I think, I mean, there are, let's say, other examples in other industries. I mean, in Europe, I mean, we all know what happened with the electric appliances, where some years ago we started seeing those labels with the electricity efficiency with the A, B, C, D category. And actually, what was the outcome? It's, I mean, all the providers, the suppliers have gone to the A, maybe B category. So, I mean, in some other industries, it does work. Let's see how it's going to work out for travel. But, I mean, we are confident. We want to do it. And actually, we are going beyond air CO2 information, but introducing also rail, car, and hotel CO2 information.
We could be here all day, and I realize we've run out of time, I'm afraid. Thank you very much for your time and your contributions to all 5 of you, and I hope that everybody, both online as well as in the room, has found the session very informative. Thank you.